Okay, well, welcome to Mountain Chef. I had a lot of requests to do some creme brulees and show how to do that. Creme brulees are very easy to do, but a lot of people have a hard time with them. And it's really, really simple. There's not many ingredients. You're looking at all of them right here. Eggs, sugar, vanilla, and cream. That's it. So what we're going to do is use 3 eggs. This is going to be a half of a batch. And you got to crack the eggs. Be careful not to separate the yolk from the eggs. You don't want to split the yolk, rather. Now here's a trick that's kind of fun. You notice I have a water bottle here. And that is the easiest way to separate yolks from the rest of the egg white. So after I have the 3 egg yolks separated, I'm going to put just about a half a teaspoon of vanilla. And then I'm going to put a 1/4 cup of sugar. I filled up a half a cup because I was used to doing a full batch, which is 6 eggs, but I'm doing a half a batch. So about a 1/4 cup of sugar. Now you just want to take and mix this all together. I have 1 cup of cream, and this is heavy whipping cream that I'm using for the creme brulee. You need to use cream if you're going to make creme brulee because it'll give it the creamy texture. And we're just going to heat this on the stove top until it's just starting to scald. What we're trying to look for when we're scalding is just the edges of the cream to start to bubble, but not the whole thing. If it gets too much more, then it's boiling. And we're doing this to temper the eggs. If you don't temper the eggs, then you'll end up with a custard as opposed to a cream or a pudding, which is really what a creme brulee is a burnt top pudding. So right here what we're looking at is scalded cream. If you see, there's a ring of bubbles all the way around the outside. And also you can see the solids starting to pool up in the middle. You can see actual physical lines in the cream starting to pool up. And that's the point that you want. So what we're going to do is take a ladle. We're going to take 1 small scoop of scalded cream at a time and incorporate it into your eggs. If you were just to put the whole thing into your eggs right away, it would cause the eggs to scramble, and then you have scrambled eggs floating in cream rather than creme brulee, and that's not very appetizing. The whole idea is to slightly raise the temperature of the eggs a little bit at a time, and as you do that, what's going to happen is it's going to keep the eggs, they stay as a liquid, and they'll thicken, but they won't ever go into a solid egg. Usually when I get it to this point now, I just start drizzling it slowly out of the pan. And that's it, that's what it takes. Alright, now that the eggs are scalded and they're in the pan, this can be poured into the ramekins and cooked at any time. So what we're going to do is just pour these into the ramekins. And I want to fill them about halfway full. No fuller than that. Then I'm going to set them into a glass baking dish. You can also do this in a Dutch oven. Works rather well. Like I said, this is a half batch. It only is good for 4 to 5 creme brulees. So the reason I have a baking dish here is so I can pour boiling water around these ramekins. What this water is going to do is act as an insulator so these don't overcook. The whole thing with cooking a creme brulee or any of a soft custard like that or pudding is you want to bring it up to the temperature where it's done as slow as possible without hitting over that wall. If you go over that wall or over that time limit or that heat, it'll solidify, being more like a flan as opposed to a pudding. So we're going to use this water, and I'm just going to slowly pour it in. And this is boiling water. This is water that I pre-boiled. Some people try cooking creme brulees in an oven that's only about 200 degrees, trying to get that slowness, and I don't find that that's necessary. 350 degree oven, as long as you have the water around it, or a Dutch oven filled with water in the ramekins, usually works just fine. Be really careful. This is liquid. Okay, and we're going to check those in about 10 minutes and they should be done. This is really important, the way to check if the creme brulee is done. Use some tongs. Don't try to do this with your hands. Grab a hold of the ramekin and shake it. Now, can you see how liquidy it is? It's starting to firm up, but it's not quite there. So it looks kind of like a waterbed at the moment, a really loose one. You want these to be right to the point of a set jello. And they're not quite there yet. So we're going to give it about another 5 minutes. Okay, so you can see we've come back here. These actually took about 15 minutes to do, 20 minutes. But it sees, if you shake it, it looks like firm jello. That means that it's done. So, and I think this one is done as well. Yep, that's done. Okay, so we've got our creme brulees done, finished, and cooled down. So they're now completely set. If you shake them now, you don't see any wobble at all. But they're going to be nice and a very pudding-like consistency. Now we need to do the brulee part of the creme brulee. And all we're going to use is some white sugar. I'm going to sprinkle it over the top. Depends on if you like a little bit of crunch or a lot of crunch in it, depending on how much sugar you do. I actually like to do a fair amount of sugar because I don't like to burn the eggs with the torch. And I find it really helps protect that. So we're going to go ahead and get the sugar on these and we're going to have some fun with a torch so you can see us going. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're just using the propane to melt the sugar onto the top. And give ourselves a nice crispy layer. And that's what gives the creme brulee a lot of its flavor, is that nice sugary layer on the very top. There we go, now it's actually working okay. Okay, so the creme brulees are now done, and this is what the perfect creme brulee is. You notice how it's just nice and crunchy on the top, and if you open into it, look how silky smooth that custard is. That's exactly what you want, right there. There you go. You want to try some? What do you think of that?
Good.